Since you read this book, what did you learn about your own habits?
I learned how they work thanks to various studies. How 10 people, researchers from MIT in particular, have detected the functioning of our habits through a habit loop: cue, routine, and reward. In the same way, parking your car requires enormous concentration the first time, because you have to pay attention to several different factors. But the experienced driver who has broken the routine can later allow himself to daydream while parking his car. These are often formed without conscious intent, but understanding that they become embedded in us through cue routine reward loops allow us to interrupt these loops, modify them, or create new ones.
So, how to create new habits?
The trigger that sets the habit loop in motion must create some desire for the rewards. For example, brushing one's teeth only became a habit in the United States when the makers of Pepsodent added chemical components that leave a cool, tingling sensation on the tongue after brushing, a sensation that users began to desire and then anticipate. In the same way, the foaming effect is not at all necessary in a shampoo, but its manufacturers add it to their product because that's what the users want, to have that feeling that the product really works. The Higg tells us that habits cannot be totally removed, only changed. The golden rule of habits change is to keep the same signal, the same reward, but to change routine. The founder of Alcoholics Anonymous, Bill Wilson, also used this formula for habit change for his organization. He was able to stop drinking by responding to his anxiety, the trigger, with social interaction rather than drunkenness, the routine, both of which served the same purpose, to relieve its anxiety. At the same time, the Higg notes that belief in the achievement of one's goal is essential. Social support or belonging to a community, even if it's only two people, increases and strengthens this faith, this conviction. The golden rule would be to believe in change, to be convinced that it's possible to achieve it. Thus, it's essential to be around people who have changed what we aspire to change. Conviction, stimulated by the feeling of belonging to a community, is therefore a second key factor in changing habits.
As my colleagues said before, there is a loop habits. Keystone habits are habits that, once established, unlock and trigger a series of other habits. We saw in this book different business applications. Firstly, a CEO of the Aluminium Company of America, Paul O'Neill, has enabled the company to achieve records profits by focusing on one single keystone habit. Firstly, a CEO of the Aluminium Company of America, Paul O'Neill, has enabled the company to achieve record profits by focusing on one single keystone habit: employee safety. Two main ideas emerge from the chapter 4 and 5. The first is that the willingness can be akin to a muscle that can run out. But if the personal willingness may be related to a muscle, it means that it can also be trained. The second idea of this chapter is that willpower becomes an habit when you plan your behavior in advance. Similarly, written plans help Starbucks baristas to stay calm and professional when a customer gets angry. This is how tens of thousands of Starbucks employees are trained. The reactions are anticipated and answers are planned in advance to offer the best customer service possible, allowing the company to increase its profit year after year.
The main ideas are that bad habits are not necessarily planned but can arise and evolve on their own, and that the result increases are periods of extra importance because these bad habits can be changed during this period. To illustrate that, the author evokes the implicit truths which emerge in Rhode Island Hospital between certain doctors abusing their authority and the nurses. The latter could not question a decision even if it goes against the rule of the hospital. And this imbalance finally results in an operation performed on the wrong side of the brain, resulting in the death of the patient, as well as multiple other medical errors that could have been avoided with better communication between the two professions. I now give the floor to Eloy, who will give you some examples.
Imagine, guys, Target knew that a teenager was pregnant before her father found out by analyzing her shopping habits. That's crazy. Companies influence our habits by making the new look familiar, a technique that The Hague calls sandwiching. Target hypermarket chain, whose data analyzing experts can predict that a woman is pregnant and at what stage of pregnancy just by analyzing her purchases, can send fully personalized coupons to the mother-to-be. They will, however, take the precaution of sandwiching this coupon with other coupons that are not necessarily relevant to the customer. The customer thinks that she has received the same coupons as her neighbors and does not suspect anything because Target does not want to be seen as a company that spies on its customers.
Hi Melvin, how are you? This is Mike. We would like to know your opinion on how social and societal movements are born.
Hi Mike, I'm fine, thank you. This is a great question. This type of movement is born of social habits. We can talk about a three-step process to explain this influence. First, a movement begins because of social habits of friendship and strong ties between close acquaintances. Then, this movement grows because of the habits of a community, and more precisely, the weak ties that keep neighborhood and clans together. Finally, it continues because the leaders of a movement provide participants with new habits that create a unique sense of identity and friendship. In my opinion, what's most interesting in this phenomenon is the power of social pressure and its key role in weak ties relationship to allow a social movement to spread. Thank you.
The Hague's answer to the question posed at the title of the chapter is, in short, yes. If we are aware of our habits, then we are responsible for their consequences. To illustrate this, he compares the legal culpability of two tragic individuals. The first is a bored housewife who, to fill her time, went to the casino. She became addicted to blackjack, spent over $1 million, mortgaged her family home, and was left in debt. The second individual was a man who accidentally killed his wife during a night terror, which is a parasomnia akin to sleepwalking. The court found the woman guilty and liable for debts as she was aware of her gambling addiction and should have taken steps to avoid getting into debt. The man was acquitted because he could not have known that his sleepwalking would lead to the murder of his wife. Neurologically, the two people's states are perfectly similar. When the woman plays blackjack and when the man has night terrors, the same areas of their brain are active and they are in sort of autopilot mode, unable to step back and act consciously. However, legally, the two cases are different. Being aware of our habits makes us responsible for their consequences. The woman plays blackjack and when the man has night terrors, the same areas of their brain are active and they are in sort of autopilot mode, unable to step back and act consciously. However, legally, the two cases are different. Being aware of our habits makes us responsible for their consequences.
Finally, what we thought about this book. First, we are going to show the positive points and then the negative points.
When you are aware of your habits and you have the power to change them, you can do it. Further reflection on our habits that we do without wanting to, the brain is in rest. Moreover, the reading of The Power of Habits allowed us to understand the functioning of our habits. We became aware of the structures of their implementation. Thus, it's favorable for us to change the bad ones and to set up good ones, new ones.
Experiments and testimonies made by real scientists in big universities like MIT show the seriousness of this theme of habits, but also on real companies such as Starbucks.
We also found negative points, like knowing that we can change our habits can become an obsession that can lead to a form of self-destruction. Pushing ourselves to become the best we can be by trying to control everything. No more space is left to spontaneous life. As a manager, wanting to apply one's method to one's employees can be badly experienced or maybe misinterpreted by them. The methods are general but not universal. You must therefore be careful not to think of yourself as a guide.